Traditionally, SMUs were large, heavy devices intended for semiconductor manufacturing. With the B2902 class, Keysight provides a small desktop unit, almost as small as their classic benchtop multimeters. And I recently got my hands onto a B version, and now I wanted to show you a little bit what it can do. This monster box here, basically it came in from Mauser, where I bought my SMU. And if we look here at the back, we see the stickers from Keysight in Malaysia. And we see it's a pretty young machine. If we look carefully and we try to zoom in a little bit, we see it's a very young thing. It's 2024 it was made. And then basically it just goes into the Mauser system, and they then just hold it, and one day when the unit is lucky or unlucky to find a new owner, it gets an extra sticker and gets shipped out. And now we're going to cut and we're going to see what is actually inside. And I use my package wolf as I almost always use it. I just like it better for this kind of job. And here we already go inside. And what do we see here? My, an arrow with extra instructions and a little label saying, "Open me first." I mean, that's pretty neat, the arrow and then "open me first." And the rest of what's inside here is pretty interesting for me, because it reminds me of these East German bunker constructions. As you can see here, basically what they did is they put in the front and in the back some kind of sponge like this, and then here inside the actual unit with its little carrying claw folded away at the bottom. So here we've got that guy out and in freedom. And the next thing that we will do is, of course, we will go for the open this box first. And this is very interesting, because here they give us additional instructions to perform a detailed inspection of what's there. So here we have our accessory box, which we see is glued shut at the back. So in we cut, open the box is, and here on the top we find our box content list, which tells us what we should be getting. So we get a power cord for the United States and Canada, which obviously is kind of useless. Then here we get this charming envelope of calibration data. Then we get an USB cable, an American power cord, which is not very useful here in Europe, a for your safety document. We get a little, it's not as big as the old ones were, but it's present, a little manual. Then we get some more safety instructions. And then finally, we get a cardboard sheet, which has this here, this licensing sticker. And yes, in a way, this is the old HP speaking. You see, they put a cardboard inside to make it more stable. That's just amazing. And something which is interesting, you see here, inside of these stickers, there is some kind of RFID or similar asset tag. And this is the point where I want to make a big shout out to my friend Richard Kausler, because as you see here, he was so kind as to allow me to ship him 2 of these tags, and he then did a very detailed analysis of what's inside. And as you see here, he tore it down and he got us pictures of the chip, pictures of everything, and the full analysis, of course, is at Richie's lab, and I have a link to that in the show notes. And here, just a quick look at the manual. It is such a little fold-out card, as you see here. And it does a pretty good job. It provides a quick overview of what the instrument does. And what I like a lot is here you see it tells you that number 1, you are capable to do a direct 2-wire measurement, and you don't have to play around with the sense terminals. It says it here. And secondarily, there is a floating mode. But this is just some random interesting details. And one more very nice thing is how they actually packaged this. This seems to be some kind of like what you use in your bed or something like that. You see it here, and they basically packed it up in 2 of those. And this is just a very, very neat idea to package test equipment in something like this. I've never seen it before. And before we get to it, a little size comparison with the carcass of what is probably the most well-known, or one of the most well-known HP instruments, a 34401. So you see the front profile is pretty similar, but here it is a normal plastic, whereas this is more rubbery. And you see the SMU is wider than its older colleague. And then here at the back, we see something else which is a bit different. Namely, what we see here is we see these kind of feet, but on this unit, the feet, these rubbery feet, are part of this whole bumper. So you cannot remove the feet like it was possible on previous generations or on large units. But in principle, the construction scheme still pretty much is the same. Think of it as a larger version of the well-liked 34401A. This handle, if you pull it out on both sides, then you can move it a little bit. But this is a bit of a cranky construction, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hold it in my hand. Here in the front, we've got the first channel. In the back, we've got the second channel. And what's important is that unlike with a normal Kelvin connection, on this guy, we also have a guard terminal. And this guard terminal is pretty unique to SMUs. And basically, it increases accuracy. And this thing, digital I/O, is actually more versatile than you might believe in the first step, because it is actually has multiple jobs. Of course, it's also for controlling all kinds of external equipment, but the most important thing, this is also responsible for the high voltage interlock. So if you want to use the high voltage capability of the SMU, you definitely need to build yourself some kind of dongle for here. And yes, here in the back, we've got the complement for the second channel, and there are also single channel versions. So this seems to be some kind of plug-in, which is just rammed into the thing. And one more sentence about the handle. They claim that if you turn it up like this, then you can remove the handle from the unit without having to break it off. I've just had terrible luck with these handles, with most of my test equipment, and this doesn't look like it's a metal construction, so I will just let it be in my machine, and I will just stand it like so, because you see, like so, it doesn't waddle, it doesn't move, it's kind of rubbery, so it will just stand like that forever. And I don't, because if you break this off by mistake, you lose a lot of resale value on the unit. You can't get rid of it anymore. And we've got the bad boy connected. Time to power him on. And I'm intentionally letting this run so that you can get a feel for how long it takes for the unit to start up. And now we are in principle ready to go. Here you see the main screen, which we will later on use for all kinds of configuration experiments. And at that point in time, we've got our SMU running. So now what comes next? Then, of course, we have to play with it. And so stay tuned, because the second video is coming soon. In the meantime, bye bye and thanks for watching.